live. Let me check.
I did check it.
I'll join the game that you're in.
You can't. It's already started.
Oh, that's okay.
As soon as you lose.
All right.
I've hit the button.
Now we should be live. See, this is when I said we... Okay. All right, folks. A little hiccup there. We now appear to be live. We are going to jump right into the game, skip the introduction. Week 6 action early on a Friday night. Unfortunately, Big Toe missed the lobby invite.
Here, why don't one of my compatriots here stream to Discord, and I'll watch the game.
All right, just some technical situating here. And we are live now. So, starting in the upper right corner for Peloton Zealot legs, we have Kotz.
That's right.
Also known as Daggerfield.
Yep, a very good name. And in the lower left, playing for the Hatlings, Red Hatlings, we have Velocitas.
That's right, wearing the blue trunks, as is customary for the Red Hatlings, seeming to eschew their red colors for the season.
You know, it's kind of throws the enemy off. You expect the red, and then when you don't see the red, what do you do?
Well, what we do see is this probe getting a little bit of scouting off in the Terran base. A very standard kind of scouting timing. Is going to see just a single gas with that barracks just now finishing. Is going to see no Nexus, or excuse me, the SCV is going to see the Nexus going down. So a little bit of an early expand from our Protoss is going to go ahead and get that second gas. Looks like Velocitas is going to want to go tech heavy, get a lot of upgrades, get a lot of gas heavy units to deal with whatever the Terran's going to throw at them.
That's right. Yeah, TVP, pretty fun matchup because there's a lot of different openers you can do. And we'll see what he does, but we got that factory coming down, so it might be sort of a 1-1-1 typical kind of timing build.
That's right. Interesting placement on the cyber core there. It's a very interesting Sim City, and something like this, a map like this would be very prone to Reaper harass. Just sort of walling off that right side prevents the Reaper from just being very annoying, hopping up and down, getting in the mirror line, blocks him off and allows the Protoss to sort of corner him and deal with him. But Kotz not opting for a Reaper on this map, just went straight to factory, getting his second gas now, and
is going for a base in an unusual location.
That's right, going for that hidden expansion.
So he's going up to 3 bases very fast.
Interesting read from Kotz here. Did see that very fast first Nexus from Velocitas, so knows that he has a window here where he's very safe from the Protoss army, but Velocitas getting his expansion down first is going to ramp his economy up much faster, so there will still be an opportunity here while the Terran has spent so much money on Econ where the Protoss could have a major army advantage, but we'll see if... Is that 3 Robos going down?
Yes. So, well, this can really only be one thing, and it looks like a double immortal drop. And
I was going to suggest a mass observer build, but...
I mean, hey, having vision. Actually, there have been pros that have done the mass observer thing to start anyway. But yeah, you don't often see the 3 Robo, so this is going to be an interesting watch.
Yeah, and especially this is going to be interesting. Kotz, this hidden expansion may be the only thing that saves him here. Those chunky boys are going to get into that Terran main and wreck some. I mean, this just got nothing to deal with this. So Kotz is going to be relying on getting so much more economy that Velocitas is not aware of, pumping out more and more Marines.
Yeah, he's not getting a warp prism just yet, which is a bit surprising to me. Does have the money for it, but instead chose to go with third Nexus. So.
Third Immortal and a third Nexus. So
Yeah,
just pumping out all Immortals all day. One thing the Immortals can't do is shoot up.
You know, they cannot shoot up, and we do have a Viking in production, but luckily nothing that shoots down from the air. Yeah, this is definitely some unique builds out of both players.
Yeah, and unfortunately, neither player really is taking the opportunity to scout the other. You see, COTS is adding a lot of barracks, so is going to go into a bio-heavy composition. Really, it's kind of the best blind move he could make against this heavy Immortal build that Philosophitos is doing.
Yeah, of course, you know, for anyone watching, the Immortals have this shield that activates when they get a high damage attack against them. Perfect for things like siege tanks and Thors. But they're not so great against, as you said, against Marines and Hellions and Cyclones, things like that, so...
Right, but Philosophitos, you know, just playing very sharp, executing very well, has opened up a bit of a supply lead. It's almost all Immortals, but it's a supply lead nonetheless. 10 worker lead, 22 army. All COTS needs is something that shoots down from the air, and he could easily deal with what Philosophitos has, but...
Hey man, don't underestimate the damage output of a single Stalker and a single Sentry.
That's true, but it looks like COTS is keeping everything on the ground, adding more and more barracks.
Yep. Yeah, an interesting build. Does he have his stim researched? I guess so, okay. Finishing his level 1 attack up and just getting his add-on set up, kind of getting in the flow of what he wants to get going. Definitely economic openings, but Philosophitos getting a nice lead for himself.
That's right, but you know, don't underestimate the fact that he got that third base down much earlier. Is going to have the orbital on that. Going to be able to drop a lot of mules. Fun fact: you don't need gas to build Marines.
You definitely don't. So you know why worry about it? And yeah, he's got not choosing to get the orbital at that base.
True.
Interesting decision. But,
really low on gas though. You notice just one gas at both the second and the third. Philosophitos starting to bulk up, getting those pylons warped in, getting some shield batteries going, is building 3 warp prisms. So clearly, strength in 3s here. If 1 is not good enough and 2 is superstitious, just go ahead and build a 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, why do anything and not do it all at once? 3s,
That's right.
So. Yeah, getting a 4th base. Both players actually getting a 4th base. Yeah, yep, Doom, exactly, Doom. And so it's going to be interesting to see who's going to take the first fight here, because they're both amassing a lot of units. And
that's right. I'd almost give the edge to the Terran here. Just a lot of really high DPS units. A couple of siege tanks won't do much against all those Immortals, but those Marines caught very quickly closing the distance. Now, though, Philosophitos sees what he's up against with that Scouting Phoenix. He's going to try to figure out how to deal with it, and apparently it's pick it up and go somewhere else.
Yeah,
but,
he's got to be real careful because he's flying very close to this Terran army here.
Right, and just barely squeaks by, is going to go drop, has way too many prisms for the number of Immortals. But I guess misread what the Terran army was doing, now coming home. Doesn't want to lose those. Warp Prism taking a lot of damage. Immortals shelling the Marines, sandwiched between Stalkers and Immortals. Still, Protoss losing a lot of units, but Terran slowly being cleaned up.
Yeah, both players taking a lot of damage. You're just trying to clean up these Warp Prisms, which are, a couple of them are full here.
Yeah,
so,
those Warp Prisms are going to barely outrun the Vikings, but in the red, 5 Immortals going to look to just demolish. Oh, ouch! Oh! A huge pickoff for the Terran. That was brutal.
Yeah, that was a lot of resources lost there. And this game has developed pretty interestingly. We do see Philosophitos instantly throwing down the Templar archives. Knows that he needs that splash damage. Needs something a bit more. Got charge on the way, and as you can see here, yeah, we have some color commentary here, and YOLO is for sure, but the Terran player is moving back towards that 3rd base, setting up outside it. Doesn't have any medevacs or tanks, we should note this time.
That's right. It's just Marines, and with more and more Stalkers and Zealots being added in, they're going to easily be able to take down what Terran has here. Stems in so much damage. I think he double stemmed there.
I think he did. Every single Marine is in red, and that medevac, you know, it's probably feeling a bit like the frontline workers right now. A lot of work to do, not a whole lot of support. And, yeah. He does have a nice position here through a choke, and Velocitas does not have Storm yet, so he's going to have to run in here.
Taking a lot of damage. It looks like Terran might have just enough to clean up, but those mortals just not dying.
These Vikings don't have anything to shoot at.
I would like to see these Vikings land. A little bit of extra DPS would go so far in taking this fight. But, yeah, just landing late after the Archons have warped in. Maybe a little bit of missed micro from our Terran. Playing a really good macro game so far. Had been keeping up in the supply, keeping up and even getting ahead in the army, but just making some poor decisions in that engagement.
Yeah, it was looking like it was evening out, but as you said, landing those Vikings a bit earlier. You know, they do pretty good damage against Stalkers. Not bad against Immortals really either. But you know, Velocitas has definitely got the lead going, so he's getting his macro, getting a ton more gateways, upgrades, and really just getting into that late game round composition.
Upgrades, though, that's the second one. The +2, excuse me, for Velocitas, while Kot's on +3, about to be done in another minute or so.
Yeah, he's going to have that nice lead, and really both players have about similar economies, so this game is very much anyone's game. We'll just have to see. It does see that scan, get that scan down, sees that army composition, knows what he's facing.
Yeah, notably, Velocitas moving up to 5 base. Interestingly enough, Kot's built that 4th base, hasn't populated it. Both on similar amount of workers, but Velocitas has his workers a little bit better distributed.
That is absolutely true. There is always the power of the mule, though.
That is
and
true.
So he's Kotz is adding on a bunch of starports now and some hitting his fusion core as well. So he may be expecting the Colossus or the air toss.
Yeah.
Of course, neither of which are coming out.
Yeah, it's actually also interesting to note, still only took 1 gas at both his 2nd and his 3rd. So running way behind on the gas count, even though he's keeping up in minerals. Able to keep so many more workers on minerals without using the gas. Will take out this base for free. It was a PF, not any longer.
That's right. So now he's going to have definitely a tougher engagement walking up that ramp, but does have Storm, and that is a lot of Marines to Storm. So
don't see any Templar in this ball here, just Archons. But there's a Storm and another. That'll be enough to push that Terran back. A lot of Marines on the field, just going all in on the Army boys, but not going to be enough to stop this Protoss composition.
That's right. He's still streaming out the Marines, but doesn't really have the composition he needs. It's just kind of pure Marines. And
3-3 does finish.
Yeah, it does have 3-3, and high-sec auto-tracking is on its way, most importantly.
Velocitas just taking a moment to catch his breath. You know, all those Marines streaming out. Kotz's macro has been pretty sharp. He has not stopped hitting that A button, but sees the writing on the wall now. As Zealots are streaming, GG is called. First game goes to Red Hat.
That's right. And that was a nice one to start off the day. Yeah, pretty good back and forth. 3-4 battles in there, so no complaints out of that. What
So that was our first game of the day. Since we missed the intro, because I'm bad at technology, we are on week 6 of the Corporate Esports Association Fall 2020 season. Working a little early this week on a Friday evening. Normally we come at you every Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Due to some scheduling issues, we had to go ahead and move the match up to Friday evening. Just make sure everybody can get their games in and meet their schedule. But Red Hat opening things off, taking that first win. We'll be going into game number 2 here shortly on Submarine between Zip and Liquid.
That's right. And so we have a ZVT for you coming up next, the greatest matchup there is.
It is a classic matchup.
It is a classic.
And perhaps I would even go to say one of the, I'd say through the history of Starcraft, one of the better balanced. It's sort of moved back and forth in the meta a few times, and who's a little stronger, who's a little weaker. But has always given us some very classic matches.
That's right, yeah. As a Team Liquid fan, I've definitely enjoyed watching some of their players play off, particularly Liquid Tasia, playing against players like Life, and then you get Cyril, of course, later, and just all kinds of classic games. But we are getting started, getting the lobby going, and getting ready to load into the game for our second game of the day, and that is, again, between Zip and Liquid.
And good news to report here, my co-caster, Big Tizano, has made it into the lobby.
That is correct. Lobbies, they're a complicated thing. This interface just changes so often in these 10 years. It's like, who to know where the buttons are?
Yeah, big thanks to our CEA captains for really doing the heavy lifting, getting these lobbies made, getting everybody invited in. Most importantly, getting the Game Heart mod on so that we can have a beautiful game with beautiful stats to show all of you beautiful viewers.
That's right, and give Damn Glam all the tools he needs to do what he's doing there to make us look good. So, yeah, playing on Submarine today, as we've said, a fun map. I like this map. It seems pretty balanced between the races.
Yeah, a little bit more of a rush map. Notably, this week's theme for our map pool is why macro. There are two schools of thought in StarCraft: the ones that sort of just play to win, and those that play correctly. But what really is correct?
Yeah, well, that's interesting you say that, because over the years, I think the view of what you would call cheesing in the StarCraft community, meaning doing like a tricky or secret build and sneaking up on your opponent, the view on cheesing has changed a lot. And so years ago, is like if you were a cheeser, it was kind of like, okay, you're one trick pony, that's all you can do. But when you have Maru winning the highest tournament in all of StarCraft by cheesing repeatedly, that kind of changes the view on what the legitimacy of it.
Well, I think over the evolution of the game, you just had such a heavy trend towards these really macro-heavy. I'd go so far to argue as econ cheesy builds, and the only way to counter that is that early harassment.
Yeah, and I think there's the same amount of skill in executing a well-done cheese as there is in macroing up. So, anyway, we are in the game, as you can see. So in just a second here, we'll be getting to our player intros as we get our cameras set up.
That's right, and starting in the upper left corner on the enemy team wearing the red trunks for Peloton Zealot legs, it's Liquid.
And in the lower right, playing for the Red Hatlings, we have Zip.
So, Liquid. Well, I'm personally a big fan of Liquid. We know you are. You reckon Liquid also a personal fan of Team Liquid?
I would say so, or perhaps just, prefers them over solids and gases.
That is true. Also plasmas. Can't forget the fourth state of matter.
That's right. That's correct. Can't forget the plasmas. I'm particularly fan of liquids and solids.
Maybe he's just a fluid person. Just goes with the flow. Really easygoing.
An adaptive player, you might say.
Even so.
In Starcraft.
And he's going to need to be adaptive against our Red Hat captain here, Zip. Zip showed us a lot of different builds this season. We've seen some macro. We've seen some cheese. Looks like he's opting for a little bit more of a standard play with hatch first, getting the pool and that gas timing. I was going to have that gas done with just enough time to get gas for link speed.
That's right. This SCV is going to scout and get some early information. Starcraft, of course, an information game. And he's going to see. He's going to see that. He's going to see that pool. Almost done. Sees the gas. Probably has an idea what he's up against.
It's an interesting move to scout with that ACV because the Reaper is on the way, about ready to pop out. Arguably, didn't get a whole lot of information. If you assume your opponent is playing very standard, that FCV is not going to gain any information. Now, this Reaper who gets in and gets some scouting, he'll begin to see what type of transitions Zip goes for. Is he going to add on more gas? Is he going to move up to, flooding lings, roaches, banelings, all of these different options?
Exactly. We do have 4 lings, as you can see, on the way over to Liquid's base. And that Reaper, the Reaper is looking for a third, and of course the third goes down in a different spot, as our observer's showing us. Those lings are going to come up, see what they got going on at the enemy base, seize the wall, and that Marine there to deal with them.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, since the lings are on the wrong side of the map, this would be an ideal time for that Reaper to go in and do a little bit of damage, but by now, the Queens have popped. Plenty of defenses up in Zip's base. That Reaper is just for patrolling. His job is to stop a base from going down there, no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you really want to set on a patrol maybe if he's going to do this, because he has no idea right now that Zip has a third.
That's right, but Zip is going to know the timing of Liquid's natural. If he moved that ling up, he'd be able to stop. Oh, just misses. But decides to pick the base up anyway, so good denial of that natural from Zip. Gonna leave that ling there, go on home. Doesn't need to be there anymore. I like a couple of queens out for Zip, just a good early defense unit. That Reaper just gonna start picking away at some of those creep tumors. Is gonna see the third now. Sees no workers there, and that's a nice little jump up.
It sure is. He's getting the scouting needs. Finally sees that third base. Sees everything that Zip's got going on, the amount of drones, the amount of gas, and so should have a general idea of what he's up against. But his bigger problem is the delay of his natural.
That's right. And to a more novice player or observer, that Reaper going in the Zerg base, not a lot of tech there to see. You'd almost say he didn't see anything, but to a higher level player, the lack of gas, seeing only 1 gas out of 3 bases, not having that gas income really limits Zip's options. So, not going to be able to transition into anything other than lings for a little bit, but is getting all his tech set up, has the roach, has the layer coming, as well as the evos, so looks like he's getting ready to play a little bit more of a macro game.
He sure is. He's got to get that money bag. Look at that money bag icon we got there. Just some slick overlays and graphics on our logos mod. But is going to get his wall set up. Always a good move when you're playing against a Zerg. You don't want those run-bys that can be devastating to your base. So gets his defenses going, trying to get his economy and his production where he wants it to be. But he is, of course, Zip has double the workers he does. So
that's right, falling really far behind. Now, again, it's actually worth pointing out that their gas income's virtually the same. Zip has been very slow at getting his gas. You don't need a whole lot of gas. It can be really easy to overcommit to the gas. Spending a few extra drones collecting gas instead of minerals, and it just sort of snowballs. those are drones that you really need. The more minerals you have, the more drones you can make, and the more economy you have. It's just sort of a standard exponential growth.
That's right, and that's why the more workers you get earlier, it makes all the difference. Starcraft is about 1,000 small decisions you make that you end up winning the game. And there's that Ling once again just saying, nah, can't land here.
I really feel like that if that command center wanted to land, the Ling really wouldn't stop it.
It'd just be a flat, kind of like squatting attack. But anyway, these Hellions are going to come in, try to get some drone kills, but these Queens and Roaches nicely in position to deny that, and shut down.
That's right. I like the little run by, trying to slow down. He does realize how far behind he's kind of falling. Did get his third established, but seeing all those Roaches pop out, it's got to make him a little nervous. He really needs to bulk up here quickly, just in case Zip decides to move out.
Yeah, he's getting more production down. Those tanks are going to be really valuable against the army comp that Zip has. But this Overseer, as we can see, has a total vision of both bases here and all kinds of army movements. So.
Yeah, hanging out there in the perv perch, but it's going to move out now, opting for a little public voyeurism. Everybody can see him. Everybody's getting a piece of the action. Drops a little load right there in the middle of the Terran base, but spots it in time. Just taking the long route through, seeing what he can see and seeing everything.
That's right. Just gonna park himself right there over the natural. Gets the scan down, sees not a whole lot that should surprise him, but he's gonna try to see what he can. He's of course looking for drone kills again, and gonna bring those Hellions in and see what he can do.
Yeah, and one thing to note here, well, apparently he was just rallying them around. Didn't pay much mind to the fact that there was a populated mining base there, and so probably lost out an opportunity. That extra time to get down to this base gave Zip a little bit more time to respond. Zip doing an excellent job with this creep spread. Half the map is purple.
Yeah, and of course, for anyone watching that doesn't understand, that means that he has vision of half the map, about 2/3 if you count all these overlords. So anytime that Liquid moves out, any decisions he makes to take new bases are going to be instantly known by the Zerg player.
But when he does move out, it's going to be a pretty powerful hit. Getting this heavy composition. Thors, tanks, not very fast moving, but it's going to hit very hard.
That's right. Yeah, you know, when Terran can get to the composition they want, I hesitant to say he's out of the game, because when you can get that end game, you know, max supply mech army, it is a very powerful army. So we'll just see how long the game goes and what happens.
Yeah, Zip has a commanding lead right now. 50 supply, a lot of that in army, but keep in mind, a lot of Zip's supply is Lings and Roaches. Roaches, not very supply efficient. Still,
that's right.
A large army.
It sure is, and yeah, these Hellions aren't going to be really the unit he needs when the battle starts. Hopefully he will turn them into Hellbats and get that extra tankiness that he needs to hold the front line.
Yeah, interestingly enough, creeping right up to the Terran's front door, Zip's going to have vision of the entire map, just continuing to drop more and more creep tumors just all over the place. Terran letting him do it.
He is finally trying to push him back, kills a couple of tumors, getting his tanks moved a bit forward, but you know, again, we've got 5 bases to 3, and he's going to need to do something else to catch up.
Yeah, it can be a little hard right here if you're the Terran and you see that creep encroaching. You see the Zerg units coming in, and not feel a little bit like those first couple campaign missions where it seems like you have endless Zerg waves and you just have to hold out. You just have to hold out.
That's right, just a little longer, but these rocks are going to come down, open up more pathways to deny bases. He sees that SCV just trying to do his job. I mean, come on. But he does morph into Hellbats, going to come down here and try to get a fight, but all those vials chew up the Hellbats right away.
That's right. He's coming with around with the Queens to flank. That's sort of a rare sight. The flanking Queens does take a couple of shots from the tanks, but just so many Roaches. Hard to kill the Roaches. Well, I should say it's not too hard to kill the roaches, but it seems like every time you smash one, 5 more are right there behind it.
That's right, just like real life one. But some Hellions come down and see what they can do, and they're dead. But yeah, it's looking like it's gonna be the end of the game. There's just for style points, get some more Ravagers.
Well, of course, you know, you don't win the game unless the opponent GG's out or runs out of buildings. So, in this case, morphing those roaches into Ravagers gives him the opportunity to shoot flying buildings. A key advantage of a lot of Terran is that their buildings can't fly.
Yeah, you know, technically Zip doesn't have a flying unit, so this game could go on a while longer if he wanted it to.
That's right. Liquid, I would call this a pretty unwinnable position. I kind of hope he has enough manners to recognize and not fly the buildings to the corner, but he's going to hold out just a little bit longer, catch his breath, think about what happened in that game, what he can do better. But GG's out, and game number 2 goes to Red Hat.
That is right. Got a commanding lead in the series now. That 2-0 victory. That game, you'd say a bit less balanced than our first game, but a good game nonetheless.
That's right. And a quick programming note for the viewers at home. Map number 3 will be played at a later date to be determined. So we'll be going to map number 4 here next between a Blind Man and Iceman.
That's right. And that will be a PvP. And what map is that on? Let's see.
Old Forgotten Temple.
Old Forgotten Temple, that's right. First we had the Lost Temple, now we have the Forgotten one.
Well, there was a time there we were at a Shattered Temple.
It's shattered. The temple's lost, then it gets shattered, and then no one cares about it
been
because it's
forgotten.
shattered. It's not good to be a temple, that's the lesson I'm learning.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I have to say.
But yeah, we're just getting ready to go into our lobby. Lobby invites going out, and we will get started with, again, as he said, is actually game 4. So this game may or may not count, but regardless, it is.
This game will count. Well, it may not. It could not count. That is correct.
Yeah.
If in our to be determined match in the future, Argyle for Peloton was able to take a map off of Red Hat's Cephalopod, then the game 4 would be necessary. This map would count, and assuming that Peloton takes this map, the captains have already agreed to play the ace match for this evening. So Peloton putting a lot of their eggs in tomorrow's basket. Excuse me, Sunday's basket.
That's right. Yeah, so going to be a lot riding on that third game, which is a ZVZ. And but yeah, anyway, for now, as we said, we have our PvP on Old Forgotten Temple. And we'll see if we got any shenanigans. PvP known for historic levels of shenanigans.
That's right. If there's any matchup that people dislike the most, aside from possibly ZVZ at times, but I'd say the meta has shifted a little on that. We do have the PvP, and it's just from the very beginning. If you think back to the beta, think back to Wings of Liberty, the 4-gate versus 4-gate. Can you micro your stalkers? Do you squeeze out a zealot? Can you get that extra hit off? And it has evolved. And nowadays, Stargate openers, Robo openers, proxies, even the occasional 5-gate.
Yeah, it's kind of shifted a bit back towards the longer games, which is interesting. But some units that make it fun. I will say before the disruptor, I did not enjoy PvP as much as I do now. It has given it some kind of refreshed it.
Well, I think Protoss players for a long time asked for the Reaver back. Everyone loves the Reaver. It's cute, it's cuddly, it explodes balls of energies.
It sends hugs from far away.
That's right. More of inverse hugs, really.
Yeah. And yeah, the Reaver, give us Reaver, give us give the Zerg Scourge and give the Terran Vultures, and you have the greatest game ever made.
Some of those units would change the balance, not the Vulture.
Oh, everyone hates the Vulture, but you know.
I mean, Spider Mines, they were nifty.
Hey man, it's, you know, we have the Widow Mine now, but come on, Spider Mines. It's in the name. Spider's better than a Widow.
Well, we're just waiting on our players here. Looks like just a quick break from our players. Shall
we? So Damglam, as our resident Protoss player here, do you think we're going to see a cannon rush?
I wish. I really do wish there'd be a cannon rush, but it's probably going to be Robo versus 4-Gate or some sort of Stargate shenanigans going on. But we could see both of them proxy. So it's the closest I'll see to a cannon rush. But yeah, probably no cannons unless you're defending the base.
Yeah, not a terribly big map. The natural does have is fairly defensible. The third starts to get a little bit more interesting, but our players are back now, and we are going into the game. The countdown has started. We're ready for some more Starcraft.
We sure are. And thankfully Blizzard gave us a really well animated countdown to bring us into the game. It took many, many, many years of development, in fact, I was told.
That's right. You know, countdowns, they can be tricky things. Sometimes they start at 5. Sometimes they count down to 0. Sometimes they just wait after 0 and hold up the game. But we're getting into our game now, starting in the lower left corner, wearing the blue trunks for Peloton Zealot legs. We'll see if he builds any Zealot legs. It's Argyle. Excuse me, Iceman.
Yep, we know what you meant. And in the top right corner, playing for the Red Hatlings, it is a person who does not see.
Would you call him a blind man?
That would be a fair representation.
So we sort of have the man v man matchup here. A blind man and an Iceman.
Yeah, I mean, it's historic. This is definitely a battle for the ages, and we'll see what we get.
I mean, you could almost go so far as to say you have a blind man and a man who says "I see."
And I see where you're going with that. Okay.
But a blind man doesn't.
Yes, blind man does not. It'd be tough to play StarCraft if you're blind.
I imagine. Just some probe shenanigans going down. It looks like we are getting a pretty standard 2-gate into Cyber out of Iceman. Blind Man, just sticking with the single gate. There's the second gate going down now. So both opting for that sort of safe opener. Getting the double gateway up allows them to get more units. Protect their natural a little bit for both those probes out there. Just keeping an eye on what the opponent's Nexus timing might be.
That's right. That tells you a whole lot. Specifically, getting that first expansion really signifies to your opponent that you're probably not going to be all-inning them. But this is again fairly standard play. Stalkers, sentries, single gateways, and a lot of scouting.
That's right. And you saw Iceman's probe in the lower right, moving around the map, just looking for those proxies. Didn't find anything. A blind man is instead choosing to just scout his opponent directly. And is going to get chased out as those units are starting to pop out of the gateways. Time for him to leave. He knows he's not going to be able to survive there much longer.
Yeah, and the sentry's important in all matchups, but it's really important in PvP both to get those early scouting done and just to have those force fields. Cutting up your opponent's army.
Smart move here. A blind man pulls the probe home, decides to keep it instead of losing it for free, pulls the stalker out to rescue it from the chasing probe, making sure that chasing probe didn't get any interesting scouting information off. Just sort of a very small micro optimization from blind man. In these type of mirror matchups, it's those little things that keep adding up.
That's right. It really is. And yeah, just both players returning. We do have the Robo Bay going down for a blind man. And that Phoenix, Hostland Phoenix, as we can see, is going to see pretty much everything. I'm going to get the information he needs to figure out what to do next.
That's right. Stalkers try to drive it away, but of course it's not real.
It's not. It's a figment of the blind man's imagination.
So, with the Robos down, we are still in a very mirror type scenario. Blind man opting for that Twilight Council. Looks like he's getting ready to upgrade his gateway units, and also dropping a Stargate. So divergent tech paths out of the same player.
That's correct. You don't often see divergent tech paths out of an individual player.
That being said, though, the Warp Prism out, I think Iceman is going to be looking to make a move here.
Yeah, he is. He's got more Stalkers warping in position here, close to the base. Got that Warp Prism both for high ground vision and to shuffle those Stalkers in and warp some more. So this is a powerful attack.
That's right. A little bit unfortunate pathing from that Observer, just moving straight across the map, is going to miss this attack coming in. A blind man isn't going to see this coming.
He sure isn't. But that Immortal that just popped. Oh man, the Stalkers get a lot of damage in on that Immortal. That was not good timing for him.
However, are going to overcharge the shield battery there. And boy, with that shield battery charged, it's going to be hard to kill any of Red's units here.
It sure is, but without that pylon, he crucially cannot build another Immortal, which is the unit that's going to save him.
That's right, but he is buying himself a little bit of time here. That Immortal, he's got to be the MVP. He's got to be the one to stop, but has an Oracle now?
Does have an Oracle? He's going to throw on a Ward. Did the Ward finish? It did not.
It did not. It did aggro some of that Stalker damage, so stood in as a tank. The shield battery comes back up with the pylon, so has a little bit of a chance here, but probably going to lose that Robo. Iceman, if he can take that Robo down, would probably feel like this is a successful attack.
Yeah, Blindman does not have the gas, we should note, to make another Immortal. Working on getting it, but he's not going to have much time. He's going to have to fend with the units he's got. And does get a Void Ray out, which is really important to kill that Warp Prism.
That's right. Does have the Stalkers to stop the Warp Prism, but the Void Ray is also super effective against Stalkers. They get in that overcharge mode and just do so much damage to armored units. Iceman takes that as a signal that he's going to turn around and go home. So despite that, losing several workers in that attack, a blind man slightly up in the worker count.
That's right. Yeah, but with that second base finished up now, I mean, this game it's pretty even.
It's notably even.
Yeah.
A blind man making some unusual units out of that Stargate. So Stargate, Twilight Council, into Oracle Void Ray.
Yeah. Interesting build. Can't say I've seen it before. But Iceman is moving up tech tree, getting that Twilight Council finished. Likely going to throw Blink into research as soon as it does.
I honestly, I would call Zealot legs.
Zealot legs? Okay.
Possibly.
Yeah, definitely. He's got an Immortal going. We'll see. Could be Zealot legs. Doesn't have any Zealots to use the legs yet, but
But it's staying to the theme.
That's
I
correct.
would be disappointed.
That's correct. Branding is important, and it sure is. But looks like Blind Man is trying to see what he can get done on the offensive now.
Now, unfortunately, that Observer was sitting there right at the front door, so Iceman's going to know this is coming.
He is.
A blind man wisely choosing to expand behind this, so not looking for this to be a killing blow. Just sort of a diversionary tactic. Keep the opponent's army on the other side of the map, give him time to establish that third, and maybe get a little bit of damage in.
Yeah, and that position there is potentially real bad for a blind man, but is able to get up the ramp, get damage in. Looks like Iceman was not paying attention. Throws down an emergency force field.
That's right. Sentry turned around, as the Iceman said. Freeze. Did not stop anybody, though.
Yeah, gotta be real careful with that prism. Oh, a full prism goes down. That might be GG there.
Yeah, that was a rough exchange. Just a lot of Immortals and the Void Ray easily able to knock down that ball of Stalkers. And with that third going now, a blind man looking to take a very commanding position in this game.
That's right. He sends his main army home knowing he's done the damage he need to, just checking on whether that third base had been rebuilt, and sees it hasn't, and just content to sit back and macro up.
That's right. This pylon has just been a thorn in his side the whole time. More and more gateway units coming out. These adepts, they're going to be able to take out so many workers once he shades in.
They are, but that army is nearby, so we'll see how quickly he can react.
We do have the fleet bacon coming down for a blind man.
Interesting, very interesting. Shades in. They're going to want to target workers, but he's actually targeting the Zealots. Unfortunately for Iceman, not the damage he needs.
Yeah, a little bit of missed micro there. Could have probably walked into the mineral line and shaded out, but chose to shade in, trying to get the element of surprise, but a blind man close by.
That's right. You know, a blind man sees all. And the question really is how many references we can have to being blind in this game.
But you know who isn't blind here? Iceman, with that observer high in the sky, able to see everything that a blind man's doing.
Correct. Yeah.
Including the carrier about to start coming out.
That's right. The single carrier. Carrier's, of course, a very expensive top tier unit, Protoss Arsenal, but pretty strong unit. Getting his fourth base established now.
That's right. Is going to note that pylon finally and moving his army across to deal with it. No more proxy warp-ins for his opponent, but his opponent probably going to want to warp in at home. Killing that pylon does supply block Iceman, so a little bit of a miscalculation there, banking a little too hard on pylons that he can't defend. That fourth, though, is going to keep a blind man ahead in the economic game as Iceman tries to get his third down.
Yeah, we do have an interesting choice, and you know, classic, what's the rule of Starcraft when you're Protoss and you're behind?
When behind, Dark Shrine.
That's right, and we have that Dark Shrine going down, so it's a smart move by Iceman in this position. You know, DTs can throw your opponent off, they can get major economic damage, and can get you back in a game.
Yeah, the real secret to DTs, honestly, is that first hit. You want to get in before your opponent feels like he has to have detection, just catching your opponent off guard. Iceman, pretty lucky here, actually. I don't believe a blind man has built an observer. He may have an observer in the enemy base, but has one out of the map. Not in an opportune location to catch the DTs, but a couple of DTs in those mineral lines could really reset the economic game. But the question is, how quickly will he be able to get in there, because the Golden Armada is approaching.
Yeah, maybe some good intuition out of Blind Man. He is building a couple of cannons at some of his bases, so perfect timing to be doing that. We do have those DTs warping in at that much further back proxy position.
That's
really
right.
Not that much of a proxy, but gonna head over into the fourth base of a Blind Man.
There is a cannon there, so perfectly protected. Gonna get a couple of worker kills, sort of just deny mining for now, but isn't gonna be able to get all the work done that he really wanted.
Yeah, looks like he has another DT coming up the middle there, but just one, and base has got cannons now, so it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, that DT looking to sneak in, do a little extra damage. Of course, with the DTs revealed, A blind man, he's going to want to get some detection out, keep some observers with his army. Of course, carriers, they don't care about DTs.
Nah, they'll just kill you. But yeah, gonna see what he can do with some additional DTs. Got Archons out, but you know, to deal with carriers, you need a whole lot of anti-air, and he does not have enough.
Yeah, the Archons are actually a pretty solid move. If you can get the splash, kill a whole bunch of interceptors, catch those carriers when they're grouped up, a handful of Archons can really put a hurting on. But that sort of implies that you don't have a ground army to deal with, and unfortunately, I think a blind man's ground army could largely deal with what Iceman has on the ground.
That's right. Gets a quick Archon kill. Just a single battery to support this army. Not going to be enough. Blind man looks like he's maybe going to take a flank position here, but controlling that high ground is really crucial here.
You do have that one DT trying to be a hero, just poking away at the backside of that army, but doesn't have the DPS to just do what he needs to. And when the ground army's gone, there's going to be nothing to stop these carriers.
That's right. That one DT, you know, give it 10 minutes, it might piss him off. But there is the GG, and that will be 3 points on the board for Red Hat, and unfortunately 0 for Peloton.
Yes, so unfortunately, regardless of what happens on Sunday, this will be a match win for Red Hat. So 2 weeks in a row now, Red Hat putting points on the board. After a sort of a disappointing open, 0-4 has now won 2 weeks in a row. Unfortunately, we do, because of the format for our season this year, Red Hatlings have been eliminated from the playoffs, but continuing to play out the season. Just anyway, because, hey, you know, everybody loves some Starcraft.
That's right. Why not have more Starcraft? And, yeah. Pretty good match here today.
And speaking of more StarCraft, it sounds like we may get a bonus game here. Playing the ace match all for fun. We'll see if the captains decide to go for it. And if they do, we'll have one more game to cast for you. One more game that doesn't really matter anyway, but hey, we're here for fun, we're here for charity. It's a great league, a great event. We hope you'll stick around and keep watching with us.
That's right. We'll see who the teams decide to field for this exhibition game. And yeah, I don't know. Just another good game, and so that puts Red Hat's record for the year. 2 wins.
2-4.
2-4. That'd be 2-4, yeah. And so yeah, all right.
So the official 5th match, if it gets played here, we're still working out some logistics, would be on Jagannatha.
Hey, yeah, I guess that's how you say that.
All the letters are certainly there.
Yep, an interesting choice of name.
An interesting map as well. If we take a look here on our handy overlay, big thanks to Damglam for putting all the tech together behind the scenes, working the Starcraft testing tool, getting these graphics and overlays up and ready for the cast. There's a lot of interesting features of this map, wouldn't you say?
Yes, there definitely is. Yeah, the map. I think the map pool is actually pretty interesting and varied right now. It helps to have all the Team Liquid, some of the Team Liquid maps in. There's just a large range of maps available to the CEA players. And so the teams are revealing their players, and we're going to have, since Blind Man is warmed up, the Red Hatlings have decided to field him again. And we'll see who Peloton brings out.
I believe it's going to be our guy.
Yep, that looks like so, which would make it a PVZ. We have not had one of those today.
That is correct. Really getting through all of our matchups, at least the non-mirror matchups. Well, there are not enough games for that, but we are seeing all varieties of the Protoss matches, at least.
Yep, I always enjoy some TVT.
Oh, that is true. TVT, I know personally, have been involved in some pretty epic matches.
There are some one legendary match that I have only heard about maybe 16 times now, but you know, it was worth sharing.
It was a pretty epic one. You know, honestly, it makes it a lot more epic when people are watching, which of course is why we bring you the stream, keep you up to date on everything happening in the CEA League, at least as much as it pertains to our good friends over at Red Hat.
That's right. So yeah, we're about to get in the game for our PVZ on Jagannatha.
Doing our final checks here, just checking through the lobby, making sure everyone's here. I can indeed confirm that our co-caster, Big Tizano, is present in the lobby.
Yeah, I made it into the lobby, believe it or not, for our viewers. I don't know how, but I did. You know, when the game doesn't matter for official match score, I would say your chances of seeing a cheese go up.
Yeah,
So,
it'll be interesting to see putting the Protoss forward, our warmed-up Protoss at that. Protoss, of course, have lots of cheese in their arsenal. And of course, Argyle from Peloton, Zerg have their own sort of standard cheese they can go. We might see the 12 pool. We might see some early roaches. Fast Nidus play. Plenty of options for the Zerg as well. Of course, our two players may just surprise us. Take this as a very standard match, practicing for that ladder. Hey, this match doesn't count. Let's get our licks in, get our practice in, so we can go win some ladder matches and rank up.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not sure what the delay is now, but we're just waiting to make sure everyone who is in here is able to observe who wants to.
Looks like a blind man. AFK for a second here. Just a quick break, and it'll be back to the action.
Yep. So, how about that news with Starcraft development changing? We got Frost Giant and Dreamhaven launching. What do you think this means for the lovers of RTS games?
I think it's an exciting time to be alive, Big Toe. Honestly, we'll see. Personally, I'm not one to get super hyped about these types of things. Take it easy. Let's see what comes out. I think both of these new studios, Frost Giant and Dreamhaven, have some solid pedigrees, but we'll see what they're able to come up with without, say, billions of dollars of Activision money.
Yeah, they don't have the war chests both figuratively and literally anymore.
But neither does Blizzard.
Correct. And on that note, we are loading into our game on Jagannatha, and we'll be getting going with our ZVP.
I think that's the correct way to pronounce that.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
About 99% sure. And, the other thing I'm about 99% sure on is that we have another StarCraft game. Starting on our map here in the lower left corner, we have a Zerg wearing the blue trunks for Peloton Zealot legs. A very nice style of clothing. Argyle.
That is right. And in the top right corner, playing for the Red Hatlings, he is warmed up, ready to get the job done. It is a blind man.
A blind man. You could argue playing that last game a little bit blind. Didn't do a whole lot of scouting. Didn't do a whole lot of pushing into his opponent's base. Just opting to power up and play the game that he wanted. Iceman wasn't quite able to catch up. We'll see what Argyle is able to pull off. Notably, Argyle not warmed up. Argyle was on the slate to play Cephalopod on Sunday. That game's a little bit up in the air, a little bit of a toss-up right now, but Argyle wanting to get his chance. Just a moral victory for Peloton here.
That's right. Always important to get that final win of the day. Gonna scout around here and see what he's up against. Sees no natural command center and that gateway going up, so might have an idea of what he is going to be facing.
That's right. Is continuing to scout though, and as Blind Man hits 400 minerals, does go ahead and drop that Nexus. He did scout that Argyle had his Expo going, so very, very standard build so far out of both players.
That's right. Protoss just playing it extra safe, make sure they got their wall going. We see that Cyber Core coming in, and we got the chase here. That chase is that probe just decides, you know, it ain't worth it, man. You only live once.
Overlord has made it across the map. His little slow trek. Listen, it's not about the journey. It's about the destination. I'm pretty sure that's how the saying goes.
That is correct, and there's only one destination for that Overlord, and it is the Perv Perch.
That's right. Opting not to go to the Perv Perch, though, it's going to go off to the side here. I can tell you, as an occasional Zerg player, roughly 33% of the time that is, that would be a really nifty place if you were trying to get some vision for a Nidus play into this very sort of wide open main.
Yeah, that is correct, and a good map for it. As we mentioned, Nidus, also swarm hosts, you know, you can launch them right into the lower portion of that base.
I think the gap there might be a little large for the swarm host. I think that Overlord trying to hug the side of the map, going to try to get that sort of bottom right corner. But a blind man dropping a pylon there, he smells something fishy.
He sure does. And yeah, we do have a very fast layer out of the Zerg player.
Well,
and,
it does take a layer to build a Nidus canal.
That is correct. So you might be right in your thesis here that that's what he's going for. It definitely looks that way. But a blind man, is the blind man going to see through the plan?
That's right. So is using that to go ahead and drop a Twilight Council. Getting the Robo. So once again, going with that ground-heavy composition to start. We'll see if he also goes Twilight into Stargate in this game. And there's the Nidus interest started. So very soon we'll be seeing some, well, let's call it screaming action coming out of the Zerg. The Overlord is in position, could easily warp into an Overseer, and has that little nice darkened area that he can drop the exit into. A blind man won't see it building until it's too late.
Yeah, and I'm looking on the right side, and it looks like he won't be able to fit a Nidus in that spot without it being seen, but it's going to be close.
However, not very many units on the map for Blind Man at all, so loading up 27 supply worth of army into that Nidus is going to want to go ahead and start building that.
He sure is. Every moment that goes by, of course, is going to give the blind man more time to get units out, get ready. And so there goes the start of that Nidus. Is in vision range of a blind man, but is he going to see it in time?
That's right. You know, it doesn't really ping the map necessarily, but does get the rally set up for the Nidus. Is going to have a couple stalkers walking over, and there's the scream, ladies and gentlemen. Nidus emptying units out, gets the queen down for the creep tumor, just in case it's put out. Pulling everything along with it. Has the drones, going to drop some spine crawlers. Really all in on this.
Why not, you know? Yeah, gets a nice position here. Lineman's going to try to use this warp prism here to get more units and juggle her units out. But those queens are laying down lots of damage.
That's right, and the drones are even getting in here on the action. Had brought one over just for the sake of building that spine crawler, but now just using them as linebackers, getting in there, soaking some damage, doing a little bit of damage of their own. It is workers on workers here with that queen just staying alive barely. Finally gets knocked out, but the spine crawler's finished. It's going to be tough for the Protoss to deflect this, but does have defender's advantage.
He sure does, and he has money and mining. So he's going to clean up that spine crawler. Those drones do go home, decide, okay, our work here is done.
Did lose a lot of drones in that attack, though. Lost 18 drones that he brought along with him. Was able to kill 21 probes. Slight advantage to the Zerg. I'm not sure there.
Yeah, I mean, the soup does not lie, as they say, and there's still a big advantage just simply because he had been building probes kind of the whole time, including during the fight, it looked like. So
yeah, we did allude to this in an earlier match. Building a lot of workers really early on in Zerg leads to a whole lot more workers. Argyle investing so much in those lings and roaches just doesn't have the larva production to get his economy going, and now suffering pretty hard. This doesn't look like a very imposing Protoss force, but it's going to hit very hard because Argyle just doesn't have much to defend.
Nope, he's trying to get his defenses up, but really just a few units here. There's the instant ED if he knows he cannot.
So, a very interesting bonus game here out of Peloton. Expertly played there by Argyle, trying to get a little bit of that Nidus cheese in, and just excellent defense from a blind man. Even if he didn't see it coming, you know, he still managed to squeak it out, get just enough hold, get the units out, and win the game.
That's right. And that will round out the match here. And yeah, I don't know. We got some good Starcraft to watch, so we'll have to see who these teams get matched up against for next week.
That's right. Of course, next week we'll be coming to you. We should be coming to you, barring any other rescheduling shenanigans. Next Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. We will not be on the air tomorrow, having played our matches tonight, but we will be back again a week from tomorrow with Week 7 action.
That is correct. And you know what? That is Halloween Day. So, special match.
That should be a particularly spooky set of matches. Looking forward to that, as always. Big Toe, Damn Glam, any words to close us out?
At least we saw a Nidus. So of course, I'm going to get to a cannon rush, so thanks to Argyle for trying.
He did the Zerg version of a cannon and a base.
He did. A little bit further north, I think it would have fit in the Dark Zone, but, you know, that's why we practice.
That's right. You know, these... it is pretty much the only thing you can do to build a base in your opponent's base, short of a proxy hatch.
Correct. Well, yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and I think that'll do it for this evening.
That'll wrap us up. I'm your host, Eagle Searcher, joined by our casters, Big Tisano and Damn Glam.